Knowing that there was no immediate end in sight drove some fellas over the edge. A few good soldiers who couldn't take the pounding day after day committed suicide. This was the case of Stanley Korsiak, a 19-year-old private born and raised in Chicago. He was a tough, athletic little soldier. He made the D-Day landings and had fought well through the hedgerows. But everyone has a breaking point. His squad reported that Stan, who had seen many of his close friends killed or severely wounded, had begun to act strangely. He cried often, especially during incoming artillery barrages, and sometimes his crying reached the point of hysteria. Instead of the usual disciplinary action for similar behavior, he was sent back to the kitchen area for a break from the action. Many of us thought that a few days' rest, a couple of hot meals, and a warm bath might rehabilitate him. But he was in more pain than any of us had realized. Why couldn't we see that he had reached his limit? Private Korsiak found a Cook's Springfield .03 rifle, removed his shoe so he could pull the trigger, and blew the top of his head off. One of the cooks heard the shot and ran to his tent. Stanley Korsiak had had enough of the constant fear, the filthy grime, the ear-shattering explosions, the putrid smells, the excruciating pain, and the maiming and deaths of his close friends. Stan Korsiak died on July 2nd. The record book shows he was killed a non-battle casualty. In my book, Private Korsiak died an American hero. So we got to know that this demon that we're dealing with now has been around for a long time. Mm-hmm. And, that's a classic situation where his death, Stan Korsiak's death, is reported as a non-battle casualty, which means no one labeled him a suicide, which means how many people did that happen to? And it was never captured. It wasn't reported. And so now we never dealt with it. Mm-hmm. And if you don't deal with things, if you don't capture the lessons learned, if you don't recognize these things, how are you going to fix them?